Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Iran's announced it'll stop complying with parts of the landmark 2015 nuclear deal and resume high-level enrichment of uranium in 60 days if other signatories of the deal do not take action to shield Iran's oil and banking sectors from U.S. sanctions. This comes a year after President Trump pulled out of the nuclear deal. In a speech earlier today, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani said Iran wants to stay in the nuclear deal, but that it's rolling back its commitments due to Washington's actions. In the short term, Rouhani said Iran would stop exporting excess uranium and heavy water from its nuclear program.
The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, is here and it remains in place, but today we have shown the flip side of the JCPOA coin. This is the same nuclear deal that states if the other parties are failing to meet their obligations, then we can also reduce our obligations in the deal. Today we are announcing a reduction of our obligations under the deal. We are not leaving the nuclear deal.
Russia responded by blaming the United States for provoking Iran into rolling back the terms of the nuclear deal. The Iranian-American author Trita Parsi said, quote, Trump has initiated a chain reaction that will make America and the world less safe. Iran's announcement comes just days after the Trump administration moved to deploy a carrier strike group and a bomber task force to the region, claiming there was a credible threat by Iranian regime forces. On Tuesday, U.S. officials announced 4 B-52 bombers would be part of the deployment. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made a surprise visit to Iraq on Tuesday to meet Iraq's prime minister and discuss Iran's presence in Iraq. This comes as a high-ranking United Nations official is openly criticizing the United States for imposing unilateral sanctions on Iran, Cuba, and Venezuela that could lead to mass starvation. UN Special Rapporteur Idriss Jazari said, quote, real concerns and serious political differences between governments must never be resolved by precipitating economic and humanitarian disasters, making ordinary people pawns and hostages thereof. A recent report by the Center for Economic and Policy Research and economist Jeffrey Sachs estimates 40,000 people may have died in Venezuela since 2017 because of U.S. sanctions. Visit democracynow.org to see our recent interview with economist Sachs. In Colorado, an 18-year-old student was killed and 8 were injured Tuesday in a school shooting at the STEM school Highlands Ranch south of Denver. Authorities have taken 2 students into custody. Douglas County Sheriff Tony Spurlock spoke to reporters outside the school.
2 individuals walked into the STEM school, got deep inside the school, and engaged students in 2 separate locations. We do have 8 students that are in area hospitals right now. Several of them are in critical condition. Both of the suspects, we believe, are students of the STEM school. They are not injured.
The STEM school, Highlands Ranch School, is located just 7 miles from Columbine High School, where 12 students and a teacher were shot dead 20 years ago, April 20th, 1999. The school is also about 20 miles from Aurora, Colorado, where a gunman killed 20 people at a movie theater in 2012. Tuesday's shooting in Colorado came a week after 2 students were killed and 4 were injured in a mass shooting at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. The New York Times has obtained tax information on Donald Trump showing his businesses lost more than $1 billion from 1985 to 1994. While Trump continues to refuse to release his tax returns, the Times obtained printouts from his official IRS tax transcripts for a 10-year period ending in 94. In multiple years during that stretch, Trump appears to have lost more money than nearly any other individual taxpayer in the United States. In 1990 and 91, Trump lost more than $250 million each year, more than double any other individual U.S. taxpayer, according to IRS documents. In 8 of the 10 years, Trump paid no federal income taxes. We'll have more on this story after headlines with Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist David K. Johnston. In news from Washington, tension continues to escalate between congressional Democrats and the Trump administration. The House Judiciary Committee is preparing to vote today on whether to hold Attorney General William Barr in contempt of Congress for failing to provide law lawmakers with an unredacted copy of the Mueller report. The Justice Department's now advising Trump to invoke executive privilege over the entire unredacted report and underlying evidence. In related news, the White House has directed former counsel Don McGahn not to comply with a congressional subpoena to hand over documents related to the Russia probe. Meanwhile, FBI Director Christopher Wray appears to have directly contradicted his boss, Attorney General William Barr, on whether federal authorities spied on the Trump campaign in 2016. Last month, Barr said, quote, spying did occur. On Tuesday, Wray says he has not seen any evidence of illegal surveillance. Georgia's Republican Governor Brian Kemp has signed one of the most restrictive abortion laws in the country. The law bans abortion when a fetal heartbeat can be detected, which often occurs at around 6 weeks into pregnancy before many women even realize they're pregnant. The new law goes into effect January 1st. The American Civil Liberties Union, Planned Parenthood Southeast, and the Center for Reproductive Rights have announced plans to challenge the abortion ban. Reproductive rights groups are also challenging fetal heartbeat bills that were recently passed in Mississippi and Kentucky. We'll speak with former Planned Parenthood head Cecile Richards. In labor news, Uber and Lyft drivers are planning to strike today in over a dozen cities ahead of Uber's debut on the New York Stock Exchange. While Uber's expected to be valued as high as $90 billion, the drivers say they have not benefited from Uber's success, citing low earnings and no benefits. Uber driver Estefany St-Juste is taking part in the strike in Los Angeles.
Well, at first, you know, it was good. I was able to make probably, I would say, easily over $1,000 a week and still have 2 days off. So it seemed to make sense at the time. Well, now I haven't had a day off since January because I can't afford to have a day off.
In other labor news, tens of thousands of teachers in Oregon are planning to walk out of classes today, forcing at least 23 school districts to preemptively cancel school. The teachers are calling for legislators to increase school funding and reduce large class sizes. The family of Sandra Bland is calling for authorities to reopen its investigation into her death. The 28-year-old African-American woman died in a Texas jail cell in 2015, 3 days after she was arrested for allegedly failing to signal a lane change. Authorities have claimed Sandra Bland committed suicide while in jail by hanging herself with a garbage bag, but her family has long rejected this claim. On Monday, the Dallas TV station WFAA aired cell phone video filmed by Bland capturing the moment when she was pulled over. In the 39-second video, you can see the officer, Brian Encinia, drawing his stun gun and saying, "I will light you up."
Get out of the car now!
Why am I being apprehended? You trying to give me a ticket for your failure?
Get out of the car.
Why am I being apprehended? You just opened my car door. You just opened my car door. So you're threatening to drag me out of my own car.
Get out of the car!
And then you gonna
I will
stun
light
me?
you up. Get out!
Wow.
Now!
Wow.
Get out of the
Really?
car!
For a failure to signal. You doing all of this for
Get
a failure
over
to signal.
there.
Right, yeah. Yeah, let's take this to court. Let's do
Go
it.
ahead.
For a failure to signal. Yep, for a failure to signal.
Get off the phone.
On my school.
Get off the phone.
I'm not on the phone. I have a right to
Put your
record. This
phone
is my
down.
property. This
Put
is
your
my
phone
property.
down.
Sir?
Put your phone down right now.
Attorneys for the Bland family say the cell phone video proves the officer lied when he claimed he felt his safety was in jeopardy when he pulled over Sandra Bland. The actress Pamela Anderson visited WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange at the high-security Belmarsh prison in London Tuesday. Assange is serving a 50-week prison sentence for skipping bail in Britain and faces possible extradition to the United States to face charges related to the Chelsea Manning leaks. Pamela Anderson spoke outside the prison after seeing him.
Obviously, it's been very difficult to see Julian here, and to make our way through the prison to get to him was quite shocking and difficult. He does not deserve to be in a supermax prison. He has never committed a violent act. He's an innocent person. He's sacrificed so much to bring the truth out, and we deserve the truth. And that's all I can say. I'm sorry, I'm just really, I feel sick. I feel nauseous.
Pamela Anderson was wearing a cloak covered with references to the history of free speech in Britain, as well as prisons, tyranny, and the levelers. President Trump has pardoned a former U.S. soldier who was found guilty of unpremeditated murder for killing an unarmed Iraqi prisoner in 2008. The soldier, First Lieutenant Michael Behenna, drove an unarmed Iraqi prisoner into the desert for an interrogation. He then stripped the prisoner naked, interrogated him at gunpoint, then shot him in the head and chest. Behenna was initially sentenced to 25 years in 2009. He was released on parole in 2014. Hina Shamsi of the American Civil Liberties Union criticized Trump's move. She said, quote, "This pardon is a presidential endorsement of a murder that violated the military's own code of justice." And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.